Because if you knew how hard it was for you to get to where you're at right now, then you will understand why you need to be celebrating.
I want to say something. A prize, motherfucker.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's going on, everybody? As we all know, mental health is a huge piece for me. And recently, as I become a better version of myself, I've decided that it's time for me to go to therapy because I understand how life can be a little overwhelming and we all need help navigating through the trenches of military service in and out of uniform. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. First, all you got to do is go to their site. Matter of fact, you can use my link right here. Answer a few questions and BetterHelp will match you with a professional who has years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. You can do it all from your phone or computer via phone call or video chat or messaging, however you feel most comfortable. It's the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. You will be matched to a therapist usually within 48 hours so you can get started fast. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you all from the comfort of your home. Visit betterhelp.com/Meech Speaks and enjoy a special discount on your first month.
What's going on, everybody? It's that ordinary podcaster with the extraordinary thoughts that tells you to stop being great and be extraordinary. I'm Demetrius Thigpen, also known as Meech Speaks, and welcome back to another episode of the Talkin Crazy Podcast. Now, before we get started with this podcast, don't forget to head on over to your favorite streaming platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, and leave this podcast an honest review because this podcast deserves to grow just as much as we do. All right, so we have a lot to unpack in this episode today. So first things first, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. All right, my last episode came out back in June, and I just really want to just take a moment and just apologize professionally for the sporadic pacing. You know what I mean? Like the lack of dropping episodes. Like I really just want to apologize for that because what started as a series of unfortunate events. I mean, my last episode once again came out in June. I had every intent to drop a Father's Day episode. I ended up getting stuck in Houston. From there, oh my God, technical difficulties, work commitments. It just really just started piling up to the point where I knew that I was going to have to just take a break to just regather exactly what was going on and to be honest with you, I'm going to just keep it a buck. I really just needed to get my shit together and relock in. And I'm going to just say that real quick because now that I have locked in, right? Like now that I have locked in, there's been a couple of things that have changed. First and foremost, I just really want to just say this real quick because I don't know who needs to hear this. I got promoted. Okay, so what's crazy is that I started this podcast when I was a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. Here I am now, a gunnery sergeant in the United States Marine Corps, and I'm still podcasting. So I'm proud of myself. Like if I could, let me give myself a round of applause because so many people would have quit in my shoes. So I did get promoted August 1st. I remember telling everybody that I had got selected back in March, but I got pinned to gunnery sergeant August 1st. Now, with that, okay, I've been, just over this break, what I have been doing is just channeling. You feel me? Like I've really been channeling the old version of me. Now, I'm not real big on becoming the old version of yourself. I'm pretty sure everybody already understands that I've created this podcast to become the best version of yourself. But what if, right? Like what if there were qualities of an older version of yourself, right? That need to be a part of this new version, What if the older version of you had qualities that you need in order to become the best version of yourself? And I took that thought process, right? And I have been just channeling, just looking at like my old work, watching old episodes, watching old stories. Hell, I went back to the first reel that I ever created. And I just really want to get back to that old Meech. You know what I mean? The unfilteredness, the rawness, just kicking it. You feel me? Like for those who have really been listening to me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm really just trying to channel that particular Meech right now, And one of the biggest things that I notice, okay, and I feel like I never talked about this before, but I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you've won recently, right? If you have won recently, then I need you to celebrate that. I need you to celebrate your recent win. Let me rephrase that real quick because it ain't even got to be your recent win. I need you to really celebrate your victories. Okay? Because earlier I said that I just got promoted to gunnery sergeant. I started when I was a sergeant. I don't think a lot of people understand that. I started when I was a sergeant. I started when I had a lot of shit going on, man. You feel me? I was depressed. I was battling a drinking problem. You know, I had thoughts of so many things going on. To be honest, I didn't even know if I was even going to make it this far. I did not know that. I knew that I was a hard worker. I knew I had a great work ethic. I knew I was a top tier performer, but I didn't know if I was going to make it this far. So when I tell you this, man, as you drive into work, you feel me? As you listen to this on your lunch break, you feel me? As you drive home, man, like as you just consume this episode and whatever you're doing, whatever monumental victory, whether it's small or big, I don't really give a fuck. I need you to celebrate it. Because to be honest with you, a lot of y'all not celebrating hard enough for me. A lot of y'all not celebrating hard enough for me. Let's go ahead and get started with today's episode. Now, this idea for this episode really came from one of my recent contracts. Now, for those who don't know, I'm a recruiter man. So life on recruiting duty has always been a little bit hectic, and it's constantly find the next qualified applicant, get them through the process so they can start to become a United States Marine. Now, this contract, though, right? Like this contract were a lot of lows. Okay, there were a lot of lows in this moment. All right, I sent this person down. They did not do good on the ASVAB and they had to retake it. You feel me? Then when we sent them down again, they couldn't even do their physical. We sent them down again for some weird reason. You feel me? There was always a fucking obstacle within their path. And one of the things that I've learned while being on recruiting duty, that it's not a numbers game. You feel me? Like it's not necessarily a numbers game. It's a people's game. It's a human game. And each person that you meet along the way, you develop a certain bond with them. You feel me? You get to understand their why. You learn a little bit about them. You see their personality. You see the potential that they may have. So every time that they lose, you feel like you're losing too, you know? And when I say like you feel like you're losing, you're not losing out on like a contract. You feel like you're a part of the process as well. Every time they tell them no, they pretty much have told you no, you know? And every time this person would take a L, I felt like I was taking an L. You know what I mean? Every time there was an obstacle in this person's way, I felt like there was an obstacle in my way. Because I'm going to just keep it a buck with you. I wanted to see this person win just as much as they did. I wanted to see them on the X, raising their right hand, kicking that oath just as much as they did. Because I developed this throughout this entire time of us knowing each other. And when it finally happened, right? Like when the stars finally fucking aligned and they finally got a chance. And I'm talking about there were a lot of obstacles, okay? There were a lot of moments where if this person would have came up to me and said, I don't want to do this no more, I would have completely understood. To be honest with you, I wouldn't even try to fight them. I would have said, hey, man, like, because of everything that you've been through, everything that it took to even get this far, I completely understand if you don't want to do this. In fact, I would even say that. I'd be like, look, man, if you don't want to do this no more, just let me know and I completely understand. So when they finally got there, I'm cheering. I'm excited. I'm happy for them. You know what I mean? And I remember us driving home and I'm excited. I'm smiling ear to ear. You know what I mean? I'm like this. We're going to take the pictures. What song do you want me to play? You feel me? Like, and I look over and they just kind of like, it's all right, you know? And I'm like, what? You, the energy not matching the victory. And I'm going to say that again, because I don't know who need to hear this, but some of y'all energy don't match the actual victory of the thing that you've been working towards. You feel me? Like a lot of y'all, man, go through these situations, go through these obstacles, go through these barriers, go through everything that stood in your path. And then when you finally get to the fucking mountaintop, your ass trying to be nonchalant. You trying to be stoic. And that's exactly what that person was doing. They trying to be stoic. They want to go home. They tired. And I looked over at them and I said straight up, I said, you not celebrating hard enough for me. I'm going to just be completely honest with you. I ain't never lied to you. I promise you I won't steer you down the wrong path, but I'm going to keep it a buck with you real quick. You just not celebrating hard enough for me. And they like, why? What do you mean? I said, because everything that was in your path, you should have quit. Everything that was in your path, you should have walked away. To be honest with you, somebody else would have walked away from this, And here we are now over the hill, and I don't get a celebration. Your hands ain't up. Your smile ain't on your face. And y'all know how I get. You know what I mean? You know how I get. But the reality is that a lot of y'all not celebrating hard enough for me. And I had to tell them that. I said, look, man, before we even get out of this car, before we even walk in there, all right, I want you to really just check this real quick. Check this energy real quick. Because when you walk in, everybody else is going to be rooting for you. Because we all recognize how hard this was for you to get here. And I need you to recognize how hard this was, because this was not a small feat. All right? Just like what I said, anybody else would have quit in your shoes. Okay? They would have looked at it as signs from God and would have said to themselves, like, maybe it's not for me. And I had to tell them this, man, because and I'm gonna just throw this out here real quick, because I don't think a lot of people really understand this. A lot of times we will say, damn, man, there's so many obstacles in my path right now. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what I do, there seems like there's something standing in my way. There's always some type of adversity. There's always some type of obstacle within my path right now. It feels like something is telling me not to do this. And they assume that it's not for them, and they'll walk away. And I get it. If something's telling you not to do it, or you feel like something's telling you that and it's constantly stopping you, your natural sense is to walk away from this. But what if the thing that you're chasing after, right, is so powerful, right? Like, it's so fucking powerful that you gotta be tested to ensure that you are truly even worthy of obtaining it. Like, come on, man. Hold on. What if the thing that you are actually searching for, the thing that you truly fucking desire, right, is so powerful, right, that if you actually obtained it, it could change the entire trajectory of what your life is. Not only your life, but generations to come. And that's why there's so many obstacles. Because if it was easy, you wouldn't appreciate it. If it was easy, you would just neglect it. So there's obstacles, there's adversities, there's these constant pulling you back because it wants to see how bad you fucking deserve it. What if? That's why it's there. And that's exactly what I told them. So this episode, to be honest with you, it's been sitting on my spirit for a minute. And I just really want to just talk to whoever has been grinding it out, man. Like, whoever has been grinding this shit out. Because I know society will tell you every single day to be humble. And I'm going to just keep it a buck with you. Every time I hear somebody telling me to be humble, you feel me? Every time I hear somebody tell me to be humble, I assume, right? Like, I assume that they trying to tell me to submit to them. You feel me? I always assume that when I hear the word be humble, when it's time for me to celebrate, that you want me to minimize my victory. And I always will never be humble. I will never be humble. Because you don't understand how hard I worked for this. I know in the Marine Corps, I know for a fact in the Marine Corps, we are trained. We're trained to grind. And then when we finally get there, you know what I mean? It's just move on to the next thing. But I will tell you this, when you're constantly minimizing your accomplishments, when you're constantly minimizing your victories, when you're constantly minimizing those trophies, right? You teach your brain to grind and move on. You teach your brain to grind and never acknowledge the victory. So it doesn't even realize the stack of trophies it's got back there. It doesn't even realize the applause because it's constantly moving forward. So I completely understand, but I will tell you right now, I'm going to need you to fucking celebrate. Now, I know I got some people right now that's going to say, Meech, why should I celebrate, man? That ain't even what I'm doing this for. I need to grind. You feel me? I need to stay humble. You know, the celebration, that's for the end. When is the end ever going to come, bro? You feel me? Like, when is the end ever going to come, bro? When you out of the Marine Corps and it's at your retirement ceremony? Is when you finally get your DD-214? You know what I mean? Like, when is the end finally going to fucking come? You know, when you at your fucking funeral. The reason why you need to celebrate, bro, because you really need to take advantage. Let me rephrase that. You really need to celebrate because you need to take into consideration everything that transpired prior to the victory. You know what I mean? Everything else that transpired prior to the victory. I'm talking about the long nights. We ain't gonna talk about the long nights. You know what I mean? It's somebody right now that's working. Somebody that's working for a college degree, bachelor's, master's, doctor. They staying up late. And when they walk across that stage, man, they really need to take into consideration them long nights. You feel me? I need you to really take into consideration that sacrifice. You know how many times did you sacrifice that time with your family so other Marines could spend time with their family? How many times did you sacrifice those days, them hours, those moments that you ain't gonna never get back for this accomplishment right here? I really need you to take into consideration how many people. I really need you to take into consideration how many people actually weren't even rooting for you. That's something that a lot of people won't even talk about. I really need you to take into consideration how many people actually aren't even rooting for you. How many people don't even mention your name in rooms that you're not even in. How many people truly wanted to see you fucking fail? Like they saw you on the journey. You know what I mean? Like they saw you on the journey. They saw you sacrifice. They knew that you had some long nights. They knew that you had some early mornings. They knew that you had some early mornings, man. They knew the days that you gave up, and they still would sit back and hope that you failed. And you didn't. You didn't fail, man. Do you understand how big this is for you? And then if we even switch gears just a little bit, the people who quietly rooted for you, you know, because they saw those long nights, they recognized those early mornings, they saw how much time you sacrificed, moments you sacrificed that you would never get back. They saw how much you cried and you felt like you wanted to give up. And that's something that we don't talk enough about, man. How many times that you prayed on this? How many times did you ask God for this moment right here? How many times did you say that you was about to give up before you got to this moment right here? That's why you need to celebrate. Because when I tell you that a weaker man, right, like a weaker man would have quit, they would have quit, bro. They would have gave up. People ain't rooting for you. People working against you. Shit always not working in your favor. It seems like it's always something. Yes, a weaker version. Let me rephrase that. A weaker version of you would have gave up. And yet here you are. So I don't know what the fuck to tell you, dude. Yes, you do need to celebrate. Yes, you do. Because you deserve it. Now, if you're like me, you probably don't even know how to celebrate. All right. And I'll keep it a buck with you. I'm constantly grinding. You feel me? I constantly will minimize my accomplishments until recently. So it took me a while to even acknowledge my own victories, let alone even celebrate them. So if you're like me, then I'm going to tell you this, man. Like, first and foremost, not only do you need to celebrate them, but here's how you celebrate them. Immortalize them. You feel me? Immortalize these moments. If you gonna bring a photographer out to your promotion ceremony, by all means, bring that photographer out, okay? Make sure they get some solid pictures, okay? If they got to get the picture over the angle where they standing behind the CO and the Sergeant Major to see you getting pinned on, go ahead, please, because you ain't gonna never get this moment back. You know what I mean? If you got to bring people out from different states so that way they can come and pin you, go ahead, because you deserve that. If you gonna frame this, go ahead. If you're going to write on Instagram a long paragraph, do not feel like you got to apologize for this long paragraph on your fucking page, acknowledging your fucking sacrifices, acknowledging your victory. You see what I'm saying? Make your carousel, put your picture up, tell your whole story, create your videos. And then here's another way that you can even celebrate. Go ahead. Bring some people over. Have a celebration for this exact moment right here. You have permission to celebrate yourself. It don't gotta be a fucking holiday. It don't gotta be a fucking funeral. It don't gotta be your birthday. This moment right here causes for celebration. Bring them people over. Throw something on the grill. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate yourself. Because if you're not gonna celebrate yourself, who is? And I feel like that's something that a lot of people think that like other people are supposed to celebrate you. It's nice, don't get me wrong, but they weren't the ones shooting in the gym. They weren't the ones spending those long nights. You gotta celebrate yourself. So if you want to go out to dinner, go out to dinner. If you want to create a long post, create a long post. If you want to have a speech, and I say that real quick because, a lot of commanders, man, like they'll promote you. They will acknowledge you. And then they will have you say a speech. Don't do that weird shit where you say, I'm not big on words, so thank you for everybody coming. No. Thank the people that got you there. Thank God. Thank yourself for never fucking giving up. Because I promise you, there's a lot of people that have. And as I close this episode out, man, I already know it's a lot of y'all right now that's getting promoted to staff sergeant. The board been crazy for gunnery sergeants right now. You feel me? I got selected back in March. All right. My number was not in the thousands. Okay. I should have gotten selected 2 months later. I got selected and I got pinned in August. All right. So I know people still getting promoted right now. I want to see your posts. Tag me in them. I'm going to share it too. You feel me? If you're in a local area and you about to do a celebration, invite me out. But what I want to see is you celebrate yourself. You feel me? Because we so quick to be hard on ourselves, right? Like we quick to be hard on ourselves, but we few in between on acknowledging our victories and our accomplishments. Let's not forget that piece right there. And once again, as I close this episode out, I want to leave you with this real quick. If you constantly train your brain, right? Like if you constantly are training your brain to grind and you never acknowledge the celebration, then why the fuck are you even grinding? Why the fuck are you even working? Because there has to be something at the end of all of this. So when you finally get the thing that you prayed for, you worked hard for, and the things that you have sacrificed to get to this moment, fucking celebrate it. Because to be honest with you, a lot of y'all not celebrating hard enough for me.
And just like that, another extraordinary thought left this ordinary mind. I hope you enjoyed this episode half as much as I enjoyed making it. Don't forget to head on over to your favorite streaming platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, and leave this podcast an honest review because this podcast deserves to grow just as much as we do. Also, don't forget to head on over to TikTok or Instagram and follow me at Meech Speaks. That's right, Meech Speaks. Meech is spelled M-E-E-C-H. Stay motivated, stay healthy. I'm out.